Welcome to episode 58 of the Forward from 50 podcast, where we interview people over 50 who are pursuing new direction for their lives. It's an opportunity for men and women to tell their stories, their way, in their own words. I'm Greg Gerber, the founder of Forward from 50, and your host for today's show. Today I'm speaking with a doctor who is an expert on sleeping and the impact not getting enough sleep is having on people of all ages, especially people over 50. Dr. Bijoy John said poor sleep is not an epidemic, which is generally confined to one local area. Rather, it is a new pandemic impacting people all over the globe, regardless of age. He said poor sleep is an issue that impacted him for many years too, starting in med school, after losing his mother, and trying to run a business. The COVID problem caused sleep problems for many people who were forced to work from home, which disrupted their daily routine. As a result, many people today compromise on their sleep in order to get done everything else they're supposed to do. Through his own experiences, Dr. John developed what he calls 7 fluent strategies to help get better sleep. In order to share those strategies with others, he published them in a book titled Nobody's Sleeping: 7 Proven Sleep Strategies for Better Health and Happiness. To tell us more about his mission to help other people over 50 to get better sleep in order to enjoy more productive and restful lives, please welcome author and sleep expert, Dr. Bijoy John, to the show. Thanks for joining me today, Dr. John. I really appreciate the time. What prompted you to study sleep deprivation and sleep habits among people?
I'm a personal sufferer of sleep problems, like in med school, never slept. Then when I lost my mom, it was difficult times. And then when I started my business, you have to take. So I'm able to sympathize with people who don't sleep well. So finally, I was able to, over the 25 years of my experience and going through that myself, I found the most holistic and the easy way to help people. And I started implementing that in my 7 proven strategies. And it works for me, works for all my clients and my patients who have seen me all this. I decided to share it with the world by writing a book. That's where I am, Greg.
I know a lot of people who have problems with sleep, and it could be that it's in our over 50 age group that's the problem, but even younger people. Would you classify sleep deprivation as an epidemic?
No, not only an epidemic. I call it the new pandemic. It's global. It's a problem all over the world. So it affects every one of us. So many things have happened in our lives. The most significant things is as age goes through, we have certain shifts in our clocks. When you're a teenager, the clock moves forward. That's the nature. And then when you're getting close to, by starting around 50, the hormonal changes, I call it menopause and menopause, the hormonal changes. And then when you reach 70, you have another clock problem where the clock shifts forward. Go to bed early and wake up early, disturbing the others in the house. So natural things happen. Then this pandemic of COVID happened. So what happened? That changed the whole thing. What happened is people started working from home, and then from the home, they take the work to the bed, and then they go to, everyone sleeps later and then now you don't have to go to office. You go to sleep later and wake up later. So the clock is shift forward. I'm not even mentioning our cell phone addiction. My best friend today is my phone. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be on my phone, compromise on family time, personal time, workout time, and jump on it. And people compromise their sleep. Where is the extra time to spend with your best friend? People compromise on their sleep. So many reasons, just I mentioned, that just the progression of you as a person and the societal influences has created this sleep debt. We're all walking around with sleep debt, not in our optimal performance. But I've discovered the joy and the superpower of sleep, and I want to share it with the world. And that's my passion. And you are helping me in this journey.
Oh, I'm glad to help you.
Yes.
A lot of people, I think, are watching television and, like you mentioned, the phones that they're taking into the bedroom. Is that causing problems as well, to have all those screens in the area where you're supposed to be sleeping?
25 years ago, 20 years when I started, I used to tell people, don't watch TV before going to bed. Now I tell people, between the phone and the TV, I'd rather you watch TV, because wherever you're watching TV, there's ambient light. But in the bedroom, when there's darkness and when you plug this phone on and the light, no matter what it is, blue light filter, I tell people, the people in the industry are selling blue light filters. Will it help? It's like Coke and Diet Coke. It's all marketing genius, but no matter what, light goes into the eye and tells the brain, hey, it's daytime, there's no need to sleep. We are all revolved around the light. That's why children, babies wake up at the crack of dawn, because the light, the information goes into the eyes and tells the brain it's still daytime. So it's a major problem.
Now, a lot of Americans undervalue sleep, I would imagine. Is that particular to our country or is it a worldwide problem?
It's a worldwide problem. So we are in the hustle culture. We hustle our way. But I think the hustle culture has met its match in sleep. Sleep is contrary to the hustle culture. You can data mine your way into sleep. You can hustle your way into sleep. I tell people it's like going through that airport screener. You're entering there with your phone, beep. You're entering into your bedroom. When you enter the bedroom, the door, you're entering the bedroom with all the worries, beep. You're entering with a bedroom with all the tight clothes, beep. So you have to leave it all behind. That's the strategies that have come with helping people to leave it behind. When you enter, the bedroom is only should be only reserved for sex and sleeping in that order, not for snoring or worrying.
I love it. Some people consider having no sleep to be a badge of honor. It seems like they just, I only got 4 hours of sleep last night and I only got 3.5. And I just, how can people function on such little sleep and be productive?
Because they are not discovering how much more they can by sleeping. I hear this all the time. People tell me, I'll sleep when I'm dead. To those, I tell them, if you're on this path, you literally are going to die, because the poor sleep puts a lot of stress on the cardiovascular, your heart, blood pressure, and your mental fog. It affects all parts of the body. It stresses it. 1 or 2 years, it can adjust, but this problem over 10 years, you will catch up with you. See, what is happening is there are some people in this globe who are called short sleepers. They are given with a gift, like Elon Musk and previous presidents, President Obama, President Trump. They are given the gift of short sleepers. They can function with less sleep. But Elon Musk came and said, hey, man, I'm a little different, but you guys need to sleep more. You see what I'm saying? So we try to look up them and say, hey, they are functioning at their optimal best, but less sleep. But we don't. I require about 7 hours of sleep. And only then my engine's working. I call my brain the supercomputer. It needs to get there, needs its rest and plug off like I'm ready to go. So
What are some of the consequences for people over 50 of not getting enough sleep?
that's a great question. See, I'm 53. I've seen my sleep pattern has gone down. What happens around there? We are all in the menopause, especially women. It's very hard in women because of many reasons. They've been set up like that. And men, when the testosterone drops in, men are called the menopause, and the estrogen drops in women, we become at risk for a new condition called sleep apnea. These hormones keep everything in good stead. So what happens these levels of these hormones drop, the tongue becomes flabby and drops back into the back of the throat, causing an obstruction. So we talk about sleep apnea, but it's literally a word before that is called obstructive sleep apnea. So the obstruction is by the tongue. So that's when that happens around that time. So a new disorder is creeping up into our lives around that time, and that's going to disrupt our sleep.
I can imagine. I suspect that I suffer from that. Is that the one
Yes.
where you are waking up frequently during the night?
Correct. So the word apnea means is derived from the Greek word apnea, meaning to stop breathing. So what happens? The air passage gets so narrow, there's no breath, and the brain says, "Oh my God, you're not breathing." So it wakes you up, even though you're sleeping. You are not going into the deep sleep. You are in a micro arousal state, and then sometimes you literally have more awakenings, and you wake up and then go back, cannot go back to sleep. And also, if you have severe sleep apnea, it can cause fluid changes. Your heart senses there's more fluid in the heart and makes you pee. So you wake up to use the restroom, and then you have the clock in the bedroom. Oh, it's 3 o'clock. Oh, it's only 3 o'clock. Then it creates all these things. The rumination happens, and it affects. And also, folks may be iron deficient. That can cause restless leg syndrome. You don't have a tendency to you have a tendency to rub your legs, walk around. It's a simple thing you can. And then I see this disorder called REM behavior disorder, where people act out their dreams and they punch their spouses. More common in
Wow.
men than in women. Yeah, you literally punch because you're acting out a dream. Those are the disorders that creep into our. Plus, you have a diabetes, a heart problem, lung problem. All that catches up. then you have shortness of breath, you're using the restroom because of the diabetes, all affects your sleep. Medical problems, not to mention if you have mental health problems, that also affects sleep. All these things add up, especially the medical problems. And also we have chronic pain, neck pain, back pain. To answer the question, all comes around that time. It gets worse and affects our sleep.
It does get worse as people get older, it looks like.
Yes.
What are some of the benefits of getting a good night of sleep?
Oh, God, you got me going. So, what happens? Our system, the cardiovascular system, our blood pressure is high during the day because we are in the hustle culture. But when at night, when you sleep, your heart rate goes down, the blood pressure goes down, your breathing goes down. So, it's auto regulating. But when you don't sleep well, that system is not turned on. So, we always at the chemical called norepinephrine, which is the stress hormone, is released, and then you are in a revved up state all through the night. You don't rest. So the benefits, meaning that's cardiovascular. Plus, we heal in our sleep. The REM sleep is chaotic, but we need it to. Hey, I don't like to be. I don't like this boss. I don't like that. You heal by acting out, not acting out, but by running your thoughts in that phase, and we heal. The same thing when you have diabetes. The norepinephrine response jacks up the blood sugar, so you heal there too. So you dream, children, when they sleep better, they consolidate. In med school, I realized very early exams are going to be part of my night, all nighter is not going to help me. But when I started sleeping better, my performance is even better because it helps with healing. It helps the cardiovascular system. It helps with memory consolidation. It helps with brain fog. The brain's not getting enough oxygen, and it's one of the preventable causes of dementia. It helps head to toe. I call in the brain. It helps the mental fog, the heart, and then good sleep helps your libido. It helps with weight. You don't have belly because it alters the leptin, ghrelin. All parts of the body are affected by good sleep in a positive way.
I know a lot of people that just go out and get a cheap bed because beds are expensive, but I've heard others say you cannot put a price tag on a good night's sleep. Would you agree with that?
So that's a very good question. I'm going to answer it in two ways. The answer to the bed situation is if you have pain, and there are some mattresses which are comfortable. I have a special mattress. I'm a back pain sufferer myself. In the previous spring mattresses, I used to sleep, even though if I go without pain in the morning, I wake up with pain. But ever since I bought this mattress, my body pain is much less. So if you have pain, then it's good. Same thing with the pillow. If you have neck pain, in a comfortable pillow. But it is not going to fix your sleep. Sleep problems need to be fixed from inside out. It's your mind, which is revving you up, and then the tongue, which is blocking. So that's an inside problem. You have to fix sleep problems inside out. Mattress and all the other gadgets are helping to fix from outside in. Now, what happens? You're going to spend a lot of money on this mattress and you're going to be worried about how am I going to pay that bill. So it's not going to. So you cannot fix sleep. We have met our match in the sleep, in this culture and everything else. No mattress will fix the problem that's within inside you.
Okay, that's a very good point. So, should
Yes,
people adopt more of a nighttime routine before they go to bed? It just seems counterproductive to go from the desk to the bed and expect to sleep.
correct. So I tell people that it's an art. It's a lost art, and we want to hustle and see. We want sleep to be like an on and off switch. It doesn't happen like that. Sleep is a dimmer. It's like a seven-course meal. You have to have the music. You have to have the cheese. You have to have the wine. You have to have the salad. You can't go straight to the meat. It does not happen. That's why I developed the seven strategies. When we can go through it. So it is a process. I tell people the good time to sleep is between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., but you have to start around 8 p.m. to get into this mood, get ready, and not like a on and off switch. Hey, you're at 60 now, you want to go back to zero within, it doesn't happen. This is one art. It's an ancient thing. The modern world has met the match in an ancient art.
I would imagine 100 years ago when people didn't have these big houses and
Yes.
electricity that they
Yes.
started calming down and quieting down, sitting around the campfire or being outdoors at night, or it just the light seems to dim. And we don't do that now because we have the screens on all the time and the LED lights and things like that. Uh, is there something that they should be avoiding in that area? or should they be looking for ways to reduce the amount of light? And
Yeah. Less light is better. Before the invention of electricity, we had what we call the bimodal sleep. People slept more. But then artificial lighting is making daytime, so that's changed. People slept 18, 20 hours. That was the norm before the Industrial Revolution and the invention of light. So that's what normal civilization was. But now with the invention of light, I tell people in the evenings, try to have a dimming effect, less intensity, but the most important thing is your electronic gadgets in your bedroom without ambient light. That's the ultimate destruction. You're telling the SCN or the suprachiasmatic, which is a part of the brain, which controls the circadian rhythm and our internal clock. So if we can avoid that, you're going to help you sleep by at least 20%.
so a screen is okay, but you need the ambient light to really offset the brightness. Is that it?
Yeah, so I don't want anybody taking their electronics into the bedroom. Like remember the screening device
Right.
I say on the airport beep. So I want to do everything outside. You know what's happening, but we find people use meditation music and all. It's great, but they're bringing the gadgets with them into the bed, and there is a beep. You're looking at that text message, then you like a TikTok video or some kind of Facebook video. Your mind is revved up. So I tell people to do meditation or whatever the app or whatever, do it outside the bedroom and just gently walk in the bed.
I know some people who take sleeping pills and melatonin. Is that a good idea to aid your sleep?
So we have our own melatonin, right? We need to
Hmm.
find how to secrete it. Melatonin, mela means darkness. The melatonin is only secreted in darkness and in lower temperatures. So I'm not a big fan of melatonin. In fact, somebody was watch my video. I sent a video out today about melatonin, why we should not use melatonin. So because we make our own melatonin, I use melatonin only in clock problem, like we mentioned, some people's clocks move forwards and backwards, and also for jet lag. But for a long-term basis, we don't. See, the challenge with taking anything from the external, your body makes it, and then when it senses something from the outside, it's going to turn off and say, "I'm not producing it," and all the production gets rusted and it stops. So then, what happens? When most people try to stop it, but then the body will take a long time to recover and restart the process because it's all dusty and rusted. It has to have the receptors. But in the meantime, people are restless. They go and increase the dosage. You see what I'm saying? The body gets used to it, and we fall into this vicious cycle. You start at 2 milligrams. I know people in a year or two they go to 20 milligrams. So I'm not a big fan of external melatonin, or for instance, any of the other sleeping pills. I rarely prescribe them.
I would imagine there's a risk of addiction for that to happen.
So it's called tolerance. So your body gets used to it because your body is so sophisticated. It doesn't release everything at once. It sells pulses a little bit here, a little bit more, and then it surges. But when we take anything from external, it goes the half life or something. The blood concentration gets so high and completely turns off the natural system.
Hmm. Uh, is there a correlation between sleeping and weight gain?
Oh, absolutely. So when you don't sleep well, there's two hormones that control our diet. It's called leptin and ghrelin. Leptin lowers our appetite. Ghrelin increases our appetite. So we want more of leptin and less of ghrelin. Guess what happens when you don't sleep? It's the ratios reverse. We have less leptin, more ghrelin, and then automatically. So should be the foundation on which exercise and diet should be built. If you imagine a Lego, this is the base, and then we'll have more energy. So what happens if you don't sleep the time? Now you're more time to be awake. Guess what? When you are groggy and more time to be awake, you're reaching for the high sugary foods like sodas and chips. And guess what? When you eat those, it affects sleep. There is studies showing that if you eat that high carbohydrate meal 4 hours prior to going to sleep, your sleep quality is going to be bad. So you have more time to be awake. You're making the wrong choices. Already your ratios of the hormones mentioned is altered, and then it results to weight gain. And then when you have weight gain, you predisposes to sleep apnea. So it's just a vicious cycle. Absolutely. Good sleep is the number one thing you can do to help with your weight loss journey.
You had mentioned the time of a meal, and that's been some discussion here in Sun City. People
Yes.
are saying that you really shouldn't eat anything after 7, and others are saying, "No, I eat a big meal and then go to bed." Is there a timing for eating a big meal like that? Is it
So that's the important thing. People are getting a lot of mixed messages. That's my mission. Like experts, we need to talk more and get the clear message. So food stays in the stomach for about 2 hours to have the digestion. So at least 2 hours prior to going to sleep, you shouldn't be eating. So guess what? Anytime you eat food, the end result is a heat. Anytime you burn, that's why even when you have a big protein meal like a steak, you feel full. The body's trying to digest it. Guess what? Melatonin does not secrete in heart. The thermogenic process within our body. That's why I tell people not to exercise or have a big meal closer to bedtime. Plus, if you eat spicy food, you're going to have acid reflux. The body acid around 2 to 4 in the morning maximal, and now you have the spicy food and all that. That's going to create more acid. And also, just by the fact if you have a full meal, it still stays in the stomach 2 hours. It's going to distend. You're going to be uncomfortable. So many reasons not to have a meal. I tell people to have meal at least 2 hours prior.
okay? Is a snack before bed a good idea? Just to
So
have something in the stomach?
no, you want the basis of fasting. You want the body to be like in the hyper mode. You don't
Mhm.
want to feed it all the time. So the best time to fast is if you stop meal at 8. So you have 12 hours of fasting. If you don't eat anything till 8 a.m. next, you're automatic, even built in.
Mhm.
So I'm not
Okay.
a big fan of snacking at night.
You had mentioned how heat can influence melatonin. What about people who use electric blankets? Is that a good idea?
So, Greg, if you're on a vacation on a tropical place, your sleep is not good
No.
because of the heat. So, electric blanket, it becomes a personal decision. Some people feel like they sleep better with heat. That's a little different mechanism. Some people, what happens is that's how saunas were a big fashion, or the real reason why most of the Romans and people figured it out. That releases a hormone called oxytocin, which is sleep inducing. So these people may be producing more oxytocin. So it's not a general rule, but some people have. So oxytocin is a little bit more powerful than melatonin. So that's the mechanism. So that's why some people take a hot shower and go to bed. So those are those people who have the another hormone which is helping them, not the melatonin. You with me? But most of us will need the melatonin. We don't have that. You
I read a book that suggested that you should take a walk outdoors at night before you go to bed because being outdoors in the low light condition increases the melatonin, but it seems counterproductive, like exercise would get the body going. What would you say to that?
Great question. So a lot of people who walk in the evening, they actually feel they say they sleep better because of the exercise. It's actually not so. You pick heat with high intensity exercise, stretching, walking, low intensity, and especially exposure to the gamma rays in the evening, which helps to sleep. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I was telling about the clock problem, right? So the clock moves forward in teenagers and it moves backwards, meaning closer to 7, 8 older adults, meaning about around 70. But now with light, which I use as a therapy, is pushing the clock forward, right? So now what is 8 becomes 9. So many reasons for walking in the evening, gentle walking is great.
Sounds like you're an advocate for abolishing daylight savings time.
Yes, we put a bill in the state of Tennessee which got tabled. I don't think will ever happen
Hmm.
because a lot of sleep problems happen around daylight savings time because of the darkness in the morning. And there's plenty of data. A lot of heart attacks happen. A lot of accidents happen because of the. But daylight savings time is controlled for economic reasons, so the stores will have more time to be open. So remember, economy decision always wins.
That's right. Exactly. That's right. What can people get by reading your book?
So what I did is I have many chapters. I have chapters for teens, I have chapter for children, I have chapter for women, I have chapter for older adults, I have chapter for athletes, I have chapters on sleep apnea, I have chapters on insomnia, diet, and also chapters on mental health. So I divided into multiple chapters so that people can understand why you're not sleeping, right? On the end, I have the seven proven sleep strategies at the end, chapter
Hmm.
13, where I mention it all. But you have to say, hey, why am I not sleeping? Maybe I have sleep apnea. Maybe I have restless legs. So there's also some conditions where people sleep too much. I have a chapter for that. So I have an introduction explaining the sleep. Then I have all the different. So if you are, hey, that suits me, let's read that. So I've broken it down. So I am a believer, just like workout and diet, it has to be a family affair. So I decided to write the book for the whole family. Because if the child's not sleeping, mom's not sleeping, if you're older adults or your dad or mom not sleeping, nobody is sleeping. So that's the title of my book. That's nobody is sleeping. I figured out. So I said, what am I going to do? I'm going to try to help everyone improve their sleep. We can be more mentally healthy, more productive, and feel the joy in our lives.
Very good. Of the seven strategies, which one is most effective for people over 50?
I can quickly run through this
Sure.
strategies. I think it'll be good for people. So if everybody has a piece of pencil or paper or tablet or whatever, write it down. It's called Sleep Now. SLEPNOW. I even have a Sleep Now course on my website,
Oh,
sleepfixacademy.com. So let's go with S is the schedule. We all need a schedule for any plan to succeed. So 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. is a good, but here's a little caveat. If you go to bed at 10 and don't fall asleep till midnight, don't go to bed at 10. Go to the time you fell asleep, around 11:30, but wake up at 6. So this is called sleep restriction. It works excellent. But most people go to bed earlier and they struggle more. So generally 10 to 6 is a great, but if you have somebody, you're a sufferer of poor sleep, you have to stick to this regimen for at least 2 to 3 weeks. And guess what? The first 2 weeks are hard, but you're going to love yourself and love me for saying this advice. But the initial 1 week, everybody calls me mad. So bear with me on that. So the next is low light, low noise, low temperature. We talked about it, about melatonin. So set your temperature to 65 to 70. If your partner needs some blankets, that's fine. So the next E is no to electronics, at least 30 minutes. I recommend 1 hour, but 30 minutes is fine. Also, don't have your electronic close to you. I keep my phone in my bathroom. I set an alarm. So the morning, 6 o'clock, I walk. Even today, I walked and turned off and got my day. And the other reason is you don't want any electronic devices telling you time. We all wake up, you have multiple sleep stages. When you wake up, you want to look at the clock and you start worrying. So the next E in the acronym is exercise. Stop exercise at least 4 hours prior. Exercise ideally in the morning, but if you can, use it 4 hours prior to sleep. Then the P is power off your mind. So I teach two techniques. One is called vivid imagination and one is called yoga nidra. Vivid imagination is when in bed, I don't want to take reality into your bedroom. I want you to use the abstract. I've been using this technique for 30 years. I start thinking about, if I watch a movie, I start thinking about what I would have done as a director. I'm not in reality in bed. I am in the abstract, right? And that's the vivid imagination technique that I tell people. And then also yoga nidra is just you lay down with your palms up and start thinking about different parts of your body. Nidra means nothingness. You're letting go and start focusing on different parts of from your head muscles, the chest muscles, thigh muscles, all the way down. This is cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm a little bit modifying it. So those are the two techniques. But remember, you're giving a chance for your mind to rest because you're not exercising, you're not revved up your body, you don't have access to your phone. Are in this process only when you can calm your mind. So that's the power of your mind. Next is no to worries. I tell people to worry between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. That's a dedicated worrying time. I'm preparing for Greg's show. I didn't know what it was going to be. I'm doing all the research. I'm done at 8 p.m. I'm done. But everybody worries, but dedicated. Don't take your worries to your bed. Remember, remember, leave it outside, like the bedroom. So this is, and the last one is win. Win by losing yourself, right? This one you can win by hustling or data mining, or so you have to keep your routines simple. So that's the acronym SLEPNOW. I've implemented it on myself, on my family, on my patients. I've helped hundreds of folks over the years. We are trying to harness your own power. It'll take a few weeks to get, but once you get it, It's a small price of discipline you pay for the long run. Once you discover it, there are nights I hang with my kids. I go to downtown, honky tonks. We hang around till 2, 3 a.m. My background was also pulmonary critical care. I'm used to quick, but 95% of the time I go to bed 10, 6. And I'm a big fan of naps. That's a separate chapter. So this is my strength. I'm discovering. I want to share it with the world. Life has happened to me. I suffer from insomnia and sleep apnea. So I've fixed it and I'm sharing it with everyone, Greg.
That's wonderful. So where can people get more information or connect with you if they'd like?
My website is called sleepfixacademy.com, where I've got all the information, podcasts, other downloads. And on social media, I am Dr. Sleep Fix. I've taken the name on Instagram. If you go to Facebook, Dr. Sleep Fix. I'm even on TikTok. So I'm on all these platforms, LinkedIn.
You're on all the electronic gadgets that they tell people to turn off before they go to bed.
But you're going to change your life by learning this.
Exactly.
Life is a balance. So if you are going to eat more, you have to exercise. You're going to be on the gadgets. You want to get good stuff. That's a great question. I had an answer ready for that, Greg.
You did. That was great. So thank you so much for sharing this information with me today. I really appreciate it. I'm sure the people over 50 who are in this audience are going to love it.
Yeah, they probably need to be more. Get a chance to read my article on neurology live. It's an article. So sleep is the super, but it gets worse. Sleeping like a baby is gone when you have your own baby. So after 20, every decade, it gets worse. By 50, it really takes it out. And by 70, you're done. But we can do little things to improve and still discover the superpower. This is the best power we have, which is within ourselves. It's free. And once you discover it, you're good. So sleep well, be well, and let's go sleeping.
I'm grateful to Dr. Bijoy John for sharing his expertise with us today. Sleep deprivation is a problem I have struggled with most of my life. Technology is often the biggest culprit for interfering with healthy sleep. First, technology requires us to operate at a much faster speed in order to get things done in what Dr. John called the hustle culture. The nonstop notifications coming through our phones, tablets, and computers demand immediate attention and don't ever allow us to escape. Finally, technology has become a crutch for news and entertainment. It's often our best friend. We keep our eyes glued to screens to the point our brain is always working until we force ourselves to try to sleep. Dr. John said he's talked to people who tell him all the time they'll sleep when they're dead. He responds that without sleep, they'll be dead soon enough. The biggest problem facing older people is sleep apnea. It affects men and women as hormones drop, which causes the tongue to get flabby and drop back into the throat to cause an obstruction. For that reason, Dr. John highly recommends that people have a sleep study conducted to address the problem with practical solutions. Getting good sleep also solves a variety of other health issues, such as high blood pressure and cardiovascular problems. Sleep also improves memory and brain function. Establishing a good nighttime routine is effective in preparing the brain for sleep. People cannot just go to sleep. They must be coaxed into it through a process. He outlines the Sleep Now strategy in his book titled Nobody's Sleeping: 7 Proven Sleep Strategies for Better Health and Happiness. It is available on Amazon and in other bookstores. People can connect with Dr. John at www.sleepfixacademy.com, where they can take a free sleep assessment, sign up for his Sleep Now course, and read his blog. Dr. John's Sleep Now podcast is available on Apple, Amazon, Podbean, and iHeartRadio. That's all I have for this week's show. If you'd like help in identifying a purpose for your life or to get help planning your next steps, I'm offering a complimentary brainstorming session to members of the Forward from 50 Facebook community. For details, connect with me on Facebook or visit www.forwardfrom50.com. I'll have another inspirational interview on the next episode of the Forward from 50 podcast. Thanks for listening, and if you like this show, please consider leaving a review wherever you download the episodes.